How do the Republicans and the conservatives get along with the Zionists? Because they actually hate Jews. They're fully in favor of saying that the Jews don't belong in America or in Western countries and they need to be somewhere else. So that's not against their belief at all. It's like I've said, support for Zionism is about as anti-Semitic as you can possibly get. It's saying that Jews aren't welcome in our countries, and so you need to go somewhere else. So that is, it's fully compatible with anti-Semitism. I would just say, with regards to the so-called Jewish lobby, or the pro-Israeli lobby, which is a collection of several different lobbying organizations, IPAC being just one of them. These are superfluous organizations. They're just money-making organizations for the people who run those organizations. That's all they are. They can have some degree of influence, and they do have some degree of influence on the state level in terms of helping to get a particular politician elected, but they have nothing to do, believe me, they have nothing to do whatsoever with foreign policy. They have no influence whatsoever with regards to America's policy towards Israel. That's a complete hallucination that people have if they imagine that the American policy towards Israel is dictated to them by the Israeli lobby. That's ridiculous. It's always been, America has always pursued policies that are in its interest. And they can't be fooled about what is in their interest. They know perfectly well what is and is not in their interest. And as I've said many times, the moment that supporting Israel is not in their interest, they'll drop it like a bad habit. And the Israeli lobby themselves will either disband or they'll take a different position, just like you see now. If you look at the who is getting lobbied and who has the most support from Jewish lobbies, Jewish and pro-Israeli PACs and so on, I bet you that Chuck Schumer is probably one of the top ones. He himself is a Jew, he's from New York. He's got a lot of Jewish support, and he's saying we need to get rid of Netanyahu. No one is dictating to America about their policy towards Israel. It's a policy that has historically been in America's interests, and that's the only reason that the policy has been what it has been. And the moment that they regard it as not being in their interests, they'll drop them. And the Jews themselves will drop Israel if it's not in their interest. They've only been supportive of it because it's been in their interest. But the moment that it's not, you see already like 500,000 Jews left Israel since October 7th. 500,000 Jews didn't go on vacation. They didn't go on holiday out of Israel. They emigrated. They moved. Like they upped stakes and left the country. So you know what their real interests are. And everybody knows that Zionism is just a pitch. Zionism is just a euphemism. The whole thing about this is to protect the Jews, and this is about how God gave us this land, and so on and so on and so on. All of this is just propaganda. This is all just marketing. It's a colonial project, always has been. And the moment that it's not viable, everybody will drop it. No one's gonna. I mean, you might find a few completely brainwashed Looney Tune settlers who will stay and still believe in the Zionist, in the Zionist brainwashing. But the people who are actually making policy and making decisions don't have the luxury of being that ideological. We have to consider what kind of survivors this community is. They're remarkable survivors because they have, I don't know who's been persecuted for longer and more severely than the Jews. That's a reality. They have a very, very difficult history for a long, long time, and they've survived. And my argument is that they've survived because they're practical. At the end of the day, they will do what's practical, and they will do what, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that they don't have safety unless they have an assurance or a guarantee of safety from someone who's more powerful than them. So they know about aligning themselves with power and being practical and pragmatic. So that's why I'm saying that they won't hesitate to drop Zionism. They won't hesitate to drop any ideology that will get away or get in the way of their material safety. So, and their material security and their material benefit. That's how they've been able to survive all these millennia. I mean, that they really have been persecuted, not in Europe for millennia, but for on the earth for millennia. They have had problems. They have no problem in being obsequious to power. It's very, very integral to their survival strategy to be very practical. Like you were asking the question about how do the Republicans and the conservatives and whatnot get along with the Jews. You could also ask the other side of that, which is how do the Jews get along with them? And I think that the answer to the first question is answered by the second question. In other words, the conservative Christians and the conservative Republicans and so on are able to get along with the Jews because the Jews know how to get along with them. That's why they came up with the term Judeo-Christian and so on, because they were acquiescing and they were being obsequious to the ones who could protect them, to the ones who could provide for them, to the ones who could guarantee their security and safety. It's pure cynical pragmatism on their part. And they're, if they were going to be actually highly religiously ideological, then they can't get along. They'd be like those Hasidic communities in New York that are just completely sealed off from the rest of society. But the way that they've been able to survive is by being highly pragmatic. The way they're able to get along is almost more down to the Jews themselves knowing how to get along with people.